Hello, welcome to Semester 2 Exam Study Guide, Part 1. In this video, we're going to go over the first half. You'll be able to use this to help you with your final exam. You'll also be able to use the digital notebook. So I'm going to go back and forth referencing that as we go along. So let's get started. So number 1, state if the polygons are similar. So what we did with this lesson was we highlighted corresponding sides and we set them up to see if they form a proportion. So that's what we're going to do with number 1 and number 2. So our corresponding sides would be, would be here and here because they're in the same position. So that would be 19 over 13.4. Then another pair of corresponding sides would be 18 and 16. Make sure you put the fractions, make sure you write them correctly. So if I start with this top one, right, 19 should be on the top, 13.4 should be in the bottom. Same with my other fraction, 18 has to be on top and then 16 has to be on the bottom. Make sure you're going from the same shape to the same one every time. So now that I've formed my proportion, I'm going to see, or I've formed my two ratios, I'm going to see if they're proportional by seeing if they're equal. So I'm going to do butterfly just to see. There's several different ways, but we can do butterfly, which means we can multiply 19 times 16, and we can multiply 13.4 times 18. Because if it's proportional, that means these cross products, right, these two butterfly wings are going to be equal. So let's use our calculator and put in 19 times 16. That gives us 304. And then I'm going to put in 13.4 times 18. And that gives me 241.2. Are these numbers equal? They are not. So that means these polygons are not similar. Okay, so same thing with number 2. I'm going to create my two fractions with the corresponding side. So it's going to be 28 over 35. And that's going to be equal to 20 over 25. And when I butterfly, I'm going to see if they're equal. So 28 times 25. I'm going to see if that's equal to 35 times 20. So I'm going to put in my calculator 28 times 25. I get 700. 35 times 2 is 70. Put a 0 on it is also 700. Are these numbers the same? Yes, that means it forms a proportion, which means they are similar. All right, so let's move on to number 3. The polygons in each pair are similar. Find the missing side length. So we are going to go back to the digital notebook and look for that lesson, which, the exam's going to be in random order, just to let you guys know. It's not going to go in this order. So, but I created a table of contents and I linked it so you'll be able to jump to each lesson. So hopefully I made that a little bit easier. But yeah, this is the one we're on right now. So we're going to highlight the corresponding sides, and then we're going to put that into our proportion and use that to solve for x. So let's look at that. So our corresponding sides would be 12 and 8. And then another pair of corresponding sides would be 24 and this question mark, which we're going to put as x. So now we're going to butterfly. So 8 times 24 is equal to 12 times x. 8 times 24 is 192. 12 times x is just 12x. I'm going to divide both sides by 12 to get x is equal to, should be 16. Yes. Okay. Another way to think of it is that 12 is 24 is twice that, so this would be twice. That's why I know it's going to be 16. But just solve it like this, so you will get the right answer every time, okay? So for number 4, very similar, except now we're going to have an expression. So let's color code again. Let's start with this side and this side. So we have 30 over 24. And then we have this side, oops. We have this side and this side. So it's going to be x plus 23 over 28. So when I butterfly, I get 30 times 28 is equal to 24. And then I'm going to put x plus 23 in parentheses. So I'm multiplying by the whole expression. So that's going to give me a two-step equation. 30 times 28 is 840. I'm going to distribute this number. So 24 times x is 24x plus 24 times 23 is 552. And to solve for x, I'm going to subtract to both sides, 552. So 840 minus 552 is 288. That's equal to 24x. And my last step is dividing by 24. So when I divide by 24, x is equal to 12. All right, now these other questions that are part of this Unit 6 section are just solving proportion, just using butterfly. I would show you the notebook, but you can look at that later. It's just what we've been doing, which is butterfly. So let's start with number 5. 8 times 8 is equal to 3 times x. 8 times 8 is 64. 3 times x is 3x. And just divide both sides by 3. So x is equal to, we should get a fraction here, 64 divided by 3 is 21.3 repeating. We're going to butterfly again. So 9 times 10 is equal to 5 parentheses k plus 1. 9 times 10 is 90. And I'm going to distribute this 5. So 5 times k is 5k plus 5 times 1 is 5. And when I solve for k, I'm going to get 85 on the left, 5k on the right, and divide both sides by 5. K is 17. Yeah, k is 17. All right. Moving on to 7 and 8. So with 7, another butterfly. So x times 10 is equal to 7 times x minus 6. So 10x on this side. When I distribute, I get 7x minus 42 on this side. When I have an x on both sides, and then just a number on this one, I want to move this x so I can have an x only on the left and then a number on the right. So I can get x by itself, right? If I move the 10x, that's not going to get me any closer to getting x by itself. So I have to cancel out the 7x, and then I divide both sides by 3. And 42 divided by 3 is 14, so I get negative 14. All right, and then our last butterfly of the exam is going to be, start with 4 times p plus 4. That's equal to 7 times p minus 3. Notice I put them in parentheses because I'm multiplying by the whole expression, and then I can distribute. I didn't show it over here, but let's distribute. So 4 times p is 4p, plus 4 times 4 is 16. 7 times p is 7p, minus 7 times 3 is 21. So I have a variable on both sides, and I have a number on both sides, so I can choose which one I want to cancel out. I'm going to cancel out the smaller one, so that's going to keep things positive. So I have 16 equals 3p minus 21. I'm going to add 21 to both sides, and I get 37 equals 3p. I'm almost done. and I divide by 3. So I'm going to get a decimal here. So 37 divided by 3 is 12.3 repeating. All right, so that is unit 6. We're going to move on to unit 7. Now, unit 7, when you go to the digital notebook, right, has all the different types of quadrilaterals. So when you get the question that looks like this, you just go to this slide if you need help with that, and you pick out which one it matches. If it's none of these, it's going to just be a general quadrilateral, okay? So looking at number 7, what does that match up to? That is going to be a kite. And then this one has none of them, doesn't match any of them because there's no markings like the other ones do. So this one is just a general quadrilateral. All right, so now for number 11. 11, since it is a quadrilateral, it's 4 sides, we know it's going to, the interior angles are going to add up to 360. So I'm going to write my equation as, we'll start with the question mark, so we'll do x plus 65 plus 100 plus 95, right? We're going to list all the angles, is equal to 360. Now we're going to combine like terms, so we're going to add 65 plus 100 plus 95. We could probably do some mental math here, but that would be 260. So x plus 260 is equal to 360. Once I combine like terms, I just subtract to get x by itself, and x is 100 degrees. Or you could just on your calculator, start with 360, do minus 65 minus 100 minus 95, right? And you're going to get 100 still. Okay, so either way. For number 12, very similar, except now we have an expression here. So let's write 58, doesn't matter the order, plus 108 plus, oh, there's x in 2 places. So 30x plus 33x plus 5 is all equal to 360. On the exam, I think there's only just one expression, not 2. But same thing, we're going to combine like terms. So we have 58 plus 108 plus 5 gives us 171. 30x plus 33x is 63x. That's equal to 360. Now I want to solve for x, so I'm going to subtract 171. I get 63x is equal to 360 minus 171 is 189. And I can divide both sides by 63. And when I do that, I get x is equal to 3. All right, moving on to number 13. Again, you can always reference the digital notebook to help you if you forget that it adds up to 360. But with 13, 14, these are more just parallelogram properties, so you can look that up. But this property is that opposite sides of a parallelogram are equal to each other. So it's just 2x minus 9 is equal to 7. And I'm going to solve for x by adding 9. I get 2x is equal to 16. I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and x is equal to 8. All right, my property for number 14 is that these are consecutive angles, meaning they're on the same side of the parallelogram. These are supplementary. That means they add to 180. So my equation is going to be 120 plus 6x plus 12 is equal to 180. I'm going to combine like terms. So 120 plus 12 is 132. Bring down the 6x and the 180, and now I can solve. So let's subtract 132 from both sides. I get 6x. 180 minus 132 is 48. And when I divide both sides by 6, x is equal to 8. All right, so moving along to 15. And then we're going to end this unit 7, with quadrilaterals. We have our parallelogram property saying that opposite angles are equal. So 88 equals 10x plus 8. When we solve, we're going to subtract 8 to get 80 is equal to 10x, and divide both sides by 10 to get x is 8 again. And now for 16, this is it says solve for x, the figure's a trapezoid. So because these markings here, that's telling me it's an isosceles trapezoid, which means these base angles are equal, right? Hopefully we see a pattern. Normally it's either they're going to be equal or they're going to add to 180 or 360 or something like that. So this time 75 is equal to 10x minus 5. I'm going to add 5. It looks like another x is 8 again. Right, 80 equals 10x, divide by 10, yep, and x is 8. All right, so that is our quadrilateral section. Now we're moving on to trig. And again, if you need to look back at the notebook, I want to just kind of scroll there. See, there's all the examples here if you need them to remind you. Whoops. Whoop. Don't know what happened, sorry. Okay, so now for the trig section, remember, even though this is just a lot of information, you need to know all of these things in order to do this whole, all 8 questions in this section. So just as a reminder, the hypotenuse is across from the right angle. The opposite is across from the theta, the angle they're giving us. And adjacent is going to be next to the angle they're giving us. So you want to label first. Whoops, you want to label. And then you have to use this SOHCAHTOA, right? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. So you have to, and then if you want, you can look back at this at, well, not this one, sorry. These ones that, yeah, with the 5 steps, do step 1, label it. Step 2, underline so you know which one to use. And all of that, okay? So just to let you know, this is all here. I would reference that if you need to. So let's go back to question 17. So find the value of the trigonometric ratio. So first let's label. So across is the hypotenuse. This is tangent of x. So across from that is the opposite. Next to it is adjacent. And what I would do is write SOHCAHTOA. Right at the top of your scratch paper. All right, so tangent is O over A. That's what the SOHCAHTOA tells us, right? Tangent is O over A. So our O in this case is 32. Our A in this case is 24. And most likely you'll have to, or you'll just, you actually won't have to simplify. You could just stop here. But for the sake of the study guide, let's simplify. So let's divide both numbers by 8, and I get 4 over 3. But on the exam, right, it's going to be numbers that you won't have to simplify. You'll just be able to stop. So let's do number 18. Same thing. It's going to be H, O, and A. And then sine, right, sine is, oh, where is it? Right here. It's O over H. So write O over H. O is 30 and H is 50. And when I simplify by dividing by 10, I get 3 over 5. All right, so those, you're just keeping it just as the numbers. That's what the trig ratio is. Now for 19, 20, and 21, we're actually finding the missing side. And it's going to be the last part of this part 1. We're going to stop after 21. But so step 1, we're going to label our sides. Let's label all 3 of these. So, and it's going to look just like this on the test too, where it's not going to be rotated. It's always going to be in the corner here, right? Corner here, corner here. So it's always going to be the diagonal, the hypotenuse will always be on this side. So it'll be H, O, and A for all of your questions here. H, O, and A, H, O, and A, okay? So, and then still, right, SOHCAHTOA. All right, so now after you've labeled, our step 2 is decide now which ratio you're going to use. So underline the side, the letter that has information. So in this case, for number 19, the hypotenuse has information and the opposite has information, H and O. Then look over here, which ratio has H and O in it? That would be sine. So you got to write sine theta is equal to O over H. Then we're going to plug in, theta is the angle. So 58, sine of 58 is equal to x over 13. I've also made sure on the test that the x will be on the top. So all you have to do now to solve is to multiply by this number on the bottom here. Right, I'm going to multiply by 13. So that cancels out. I'm left with x. And all you have to do is put this into the calculator. So we're going to grab the calculator, do 13 times sine 58, and you get, we have to round this to the nearest, let's say 10th, so this would be 11.0. All right, let's do 20. So which one has, or which two sides have information? That would be A and H. We're going to use cosine. So cosine theta is A over H. Cosine 39, we're going to replace theta with 39. A is x, H is 11. So again, we're going to multiply by that number on the bottom and then put this other side in the calculator. So 11 times cosine 39, that gives us 8.5. Okay. And then our last one, we have O and A that have information. We're going to be using tangent. So tangent of theta is O over A. Tangent of 46 is x over 13. Multiply both sides by 13. And we get clear 13 times tangent 46. And we get 13.5. All right, so I know that was a lot, but that was the first half of the study guide. We're going to do the second half next time. So I will see you then. Bye.